Dear friends, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you this morning. Listening to the presentations, I was very sad to some extent, because I caught myself on a thought that during last years when Georgia built public service halls, Armenia built Asan centers and things, we were changing governments, literally. So in the last 2 years, we had 7 governments, and to the placement in the hierarchy, so closer to the executive power, closer to the prime minister, it does not help in such circumstances. So we were to have a better dynamic on that, but still this somehow reflects on our activity. However, under this kind of pressure, social pressure, we had to deliver something. And that's why yesterday and today during discussions I said that every country is different and every country is unique. And here we are learning from experience of each country, but still we have to transpose it to our reality. What we did in Moldova, we had to implement something visible to citizens under this huge social and political pressure, and to deliver something to politicians, at the same time to build the core infrastructures and to build and to roll out the foundation for the next phase of governmental services, or next generation of governmental services. And this is exactly what I'm going to tell you today. I will try to be very short, very brief on my presentations, although each of these infrastructures which I'm going to present deserves at least an hour of discussion, but it's still ahead. So we were under the pressure of delivering electronic services, and our philosophy in Moldova is that each public service has to be electronic. It does not help us that much as it helps for Georgians or for Armenians or Azerbaijan colleagues to build public service halls. We have a third of population abroad. So that population will not come into those public service halls. So we'll have to build something different, to take a different approach. And our approach is to develop each and every public service in electronic format. So that was the kind of motto and kind of philosophy behind our e-governance model. And we started with development of the core infrastructures, which in fact are the building blocks of the core pillars of whatever was built at the sectorial level, at the social level, or healthcare, or education, and so on and so forth. We started with the citizens portal, and of course this portal is being renovated right now because it's quite a long time when it was first time launched. Lately we moved to the open governance platform. And if we had to say about OGP as well, so we are members of OGP from 2011, and we kind of achievement we have so far, we're on the 3rd place in the world for opening corporate data. So everything about companies now is opened in Moldova. So there is another infrastructure for messaging, for notifications, electronic messaging system, which is being developed right now, which allows different electronic services to distribute different kind of messages through different channels. This is kind of achievement, and what relates to the electronic identity, we have a triple of services which combines everything related to electronic identity into one centralized infrastructure. That's authentication, which proves, as Mr. President Ilves said yesterday, that you are you, and that's in fact an electronic passport for everyone. And there is a centralized signing service which makes it possible to legally empower each and every transaction performed in different electronic services, different sectorial electronic services. And of course we implemented, for the sake of comfort for citizens, we implemented this mobile signature, being the 7th country in the world. One kind of interesting fact against it is that we did not spend any cent for that implementation. This was a pure public-private partnership where the private sector came with their core investments. The heavy artillery of e-governance infrastructure in Moldova are the following ones, and the core of it is MConnect, which is conceptual analog of X-Road from Estonia. MConnect is a connecting middleware with different institutions, different administrative databases. They are connected to a national service bus, which makes it possible to exchange data between the different institutions. We implemented a private governmental cloud because we cannot afford each and every ministry to have their own data centers and their own server environments and things. Moreover, most of them, they are not skilled enough to write good specifications for these pieces of hardware. Even this hardware is getting obsolete so often. So we decided to innovate a little bit here, and we implemented this cloud environment, private cloud for the government. Now we are looking at scenarios where we can combine private and public cloud as well. And of course, we have this payment gateway or governmental payment service, and we are very interesting to listen from colleagues from Belarus of their implementation. We implemented almost the same model, and now we are thinking not on citizens to government payments, but from government to citizen payments. So through the same model, by reversing the mechanism of M-Pay, I mean paying pensions through one centralized system, or paying incentives for mothers, for students, and for everyone. So the core of the project, so the modernization of governmental services, and what is the subject of today's presentation is MConnect. MConnect is this middleware which allows us to exchange data, but in fact it solves the three groups of problems we have in Republic of Moldova. First of all, we don't have a good way of ministries and agencies to communicate between each other. Very often they even don't know what information is available from one ministry to another. Therefore, that kind of problem is solved partly with MConnect, partly with some legislation acts. Secondly, we have kind of strange form of property, which is our state-owned enterprises. Sometimes they are profit-oriented and they are selling data or mechanism for accessing data. Therefore, we would like to streamline the things or the relations between them, so MConnect here is a remedy as well. And of course, there are technical things you have to consider, because you are going to connect information systems built on different points in time by different teams with different skills, with different technologies. So how we ensure this compatibility? These are the challenges this MConnect platform solves, and in fact it allows us to move from this kind of model, which I'm sure every of you know, and all of these relations, these are not just lines on the diagram. These are technical connections, maintaining of those technical connections, contractual connections or relations and things like that. So it consumes a lot of time and a lot of money. So moving from this model to this one, which allows us to have a unified messaging infrastructure, or unified data exchange rituals or protocols, if we may say so, and everyone will know them and everyone will use them. So we are trying to apply some organizational principles, and one of the principles which we borrow it from cloud computing is data abstraction. So we don't know, and we even don't want to know, who is producing data. We know that these are governmental organizations, but we don't want to know who exactly did that, and how exactly this data was produced, and what are the operational processes behind maintaining of that data. We are applying abstractions on that. We know the data exists. I know that I have the rights to consume the data, and that's it. For me, as a consumer, I'm allowed to consume this data. This is the core principle which allows us to move from these bilateral contractual arrangements between institutions to a more advanced ones, which let us decouple things. There are some technical things. I will not dive into all of them. I will just say that behind MConnect there is another philosophy. So we would like to squeeze efficiency out of it, not adapting existing systems, because it will take time, it will take a lot of money, so it is not affordable for us. Let the system itself, like MConnect, to adapt to those. Of course, there are systems which are connectable enough, there are systems which are not connectable, so we'll have to consider those as well. And for those who are not connectable at all, so very old system, we will just let them die and we will replace them with something new. But these are very old systems, so we even don't bother too much with them. But with all others, they are connectable and they are ready to exchange data. So the philosophy, as I said, we are trying to combine these two principles of cloud computing and data exchange. We are not dependent on who produced this data, although we know that this data was produced by someone, almost in the most of the cases by the same governmental institutions, and there are some technical linkage between data sources and data consumers, yes, and there is a mediation process which allows us to distribute requests, to parallelize things. As Mr. President Ilves said yesterday, there is a paper-based sequential process and there is a parallel process which can be automated, and this is exactly the case. So we can ask different administrative sources at once and to combine the results into one single result and present it to the consumer. So with that in place, what we started to do right now, we started to rethink governmental services. We want to get rid of those inefficient links in the service provision processes, those who are still supposing of paper-based exchange, or they're asking someone to come to the physical counter to an organization. So we would like to get rid of all those. We initiated this process with the support of the World Bank again, because during these times we have quite a difficult banking sector problem and quite a difficult budget problem as well. So we have to be more inventive. This time World Bank is supporting this kind of process. And we have to build some principles like openness, connectivity, and security within DNA and for each and every service. So on the other side, we have another very pragmatic case when we failed with the census for 2014, and with MConnect we can solve this problem. So we had to present the data from the census from 2014 at the end of 2014, but according to our statistical authority, it will be ready by the end of 2017. Of course, we need this data now. We need this for decision-making, for investment, for planning, for everything. So this e-demography, how we call it, is a possibility to ask administrative data sources and to aggregate this data coming from different data sources, to correlate it and to produce almost the same indicators as an official census would do. So this is not a trivial task to do, because sometimes some of data is still on paper, but still there is a digitization process going on in parallel. So we intend this will be a good example, not just for population or counting or statistics on population, but it will be a good chance for us to implement so-called e-statistics in general. So because we are going to follow the same model as in case of e-population, to collect data about different other transportation statistics or healthcare statistics, education, and so on. And this way we are preparing, since we were asked to demonstrate the alignment to European Union practices, we are preparing ourselves to the 2021 census, pan-European census, which Eurostat declared to be at that point in time. So this is in short what we succeed to do and what our plans are. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuri, very much. And we all appreciate that you're still managing to swim in this very hard political condition what you have. So please, questions? Yes, please, Armenia colleague.
I have a question concerning, let's say, a couple of projects that you did. First, mobile ID that we are considering now and trying to implement in Armenia. I see your penetration rates are rising. In the beginning, it was very slow, as much as I know, and you did as a PPP with Orange, as much as I know. So what is the cost now? Because I know the cost of subscription was very high, and maybe that was one of the issues related with this. And that was the solution that you raised penetration. The second issue is on government cloud that you installed, as much as I know, by the World Bank support. Do you really would consider installing, let's say, government cloud at this stage, if you would make a decision now, not in the because of resources you allocate, because of the people, and how the business model works for, let's say, government cloud? Is still budget supporting it, or you are making other business, let's say, models, PPP or whatever? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very good question regarding cloud. If you allow me, I will start from the last one. Definitely yes. If we would start over cloud, would be definitely the option we had to follow. So if we would start now, we would rethink a little bit the cloud model from technical perspective, from dependency on vendors and things, but it's definitely cloud computing as private governmental cloud. In terms of business organization for the cloud environment, as you know, World Bank is supporting capital investment or procurement of the core infrastructure, cloud infrastructure, but all operational expenses, they are covered by the state budget. And this is our case as well. So we are now quite in a good shape supporting operationally cloud because of the economies we're generating from not operating other data centers on premises for each and every ministry. We are in good shape of channelizing these budgets to this particular environment. As part of our delegation, we have a Deputy Minister of Finance, Mr. Yuri Chichibaba. So we are, and his presence here is vitally important for us because this is exactly what kind of cooperation we have to have with Ministry of Finance. So in terms of that. In terms of cost for the mobile signature, it never was so expensive. So it now we have the smallest subscription is for 50 cents per month for a package or a bundle of 10 signatures, which is sufficient for very few citizens. The next level is $1.50 or something like that for 50 signatures. And the next bundle would be somewhere around $5, or no, even less, so $4, and it will be for 1,000 signatures. So that's.
For the initial subscription, is there a different price, or you can just?
There is no price for initial subscription.
Okay.
So there is no price for replacement of your SIM cards. There is nothing like that. So
Excellent. Okay, any other questions, comments? If no, once again, thanks a lot, Yuri, and good luck, and keep going.
Thank you.
Thank you.